kind of move on and put all that behind me and help this team, get back to the playoffs. So I feel like taking some time to myself and
the resiliency that these guys showed all year. But god dang, give Connecticut credit, right?
Picture this. You're Caitlin Clark. You've just had the best rookie season in WNBA history. You're ready to dominate the playoffs. But then, everything falls apart. What happened? And more importantly, what does it mean for Clark's future? Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now back to the video. Do you recall your first day of school? Imagine it, but on the first day of the NBA playoffs, for example. Clark and the Fever had played 19 postseason games. The Sun? 222 to be exact. Alright, so much for being tossed in the deep end. This was a battle of experiences, not just a game. The Connecticut Sun had a plan going in, and boy did they follow through on it. It was evident that they knew just how to deal with Clark. Like expert chess players, DeWanna Bonner and her group were constantly 2 moves ahead. After dominating the scoreboard the whole season, Clark went into a shooting slump. She made 4 of 17 field goals, including a difficult 2 of 13 effort from 3-point range. We're not used to seeing Caitlin Clark like that. Clark's rage was radiating out in waves. "My shot felt right there," she remarked following the game. That's why it aggravates you so much as a shooter when something seems great but doesn't work out for you.
we've climbed all the way back in and definitely had our opportunities late. And then a few different miscues. And
what a game. Fever looking to stave off elimination on the road. And this is late in the fourth, 4:06 left.
Hurt. Everyone has experienced days when everything seems to go wrong, but picture yourself going through that in your very first playoff game. The problem is that Clark wasn't the only one having difficulty. The stress of the playoffs seemed to overwhelm the entire Fever team. In the second half, they were unable to keep up, and the Sun fully capitalized. It resembled watching a high school basketball team attempting to match collegiate players. Don't get me wrong though, Clark continued to write plays. She was snatching rebounds, throwing out assists, and exerting every effort to have an influence. But it was insufficient against a club with that level of postseason experience.
We're a young group, a pretty inexperienced group, but we came together and I had a lot of fun playing with one another and kind of move on and put all that behind me and help this team, get back to the playoffs. So I feel like taking some time to myself and
know what's absurd? Long term, this game might be beneficial for Clark. Yes, I realize that sounds crazy, but consider this. Every outstanding player has experienced a moment of failure. What makes them unique is how they get back up. This match served as a warning. It made Clark and the Fever aware of their opponents in the postseason. These days, it comes down to experience, strategy, and mental toughness rather than just talent. In addition to competing against other teams, Clark is also up against the whistle. She is 1 technical foul away from suspension, having already racked up 6 this season.
She is 1 technical foul away from potentially being suspended a game, and that is causing a lot of concern all over this nation.
Is the refereeing of this rookie sensation being unfairly treated? Remember how we discussed Clark's difficult postseason debut? But the tale doesn't end there. It goes beyond a single poor performance or up against seasoned opponents. Clark's performance has been hindered by another issue all season long. Let's discuss the referees. Yes, the ones with the striped shirts who are meant to maintain fair play. They have, after all, been picking on Clark all season long. It seems like they are watching her every move with a magnifying glass. Do you recall that game against the Aces of Las Vegas? After committing a personal foul, Clark became agitated and was given a technical foul. We all understand that basketball is an emotional sport.
I think the referees will do a little bit more in trying to make sure the star of this basketball league do not get suspended.
Right? However, it appears that Clark is unable to breathe at all when the referees are not whistling. And get this season, Clark has accumulated 6 technical fouls. 6! That is absurd for a novice. If she gets 1 more, she might face suspension. Every time she steps onto the court, it seems as though she is treading carefully. However, it goes beyond the technicians. On social media, fans are losing their minds over calls made by referees against Clark for infractions they would overlook against other players. They seem to be waiting for her to make a mistake. I know what you're thinking. Come on, it can't be that bad. The problem is, though, that this goes beyond Clark. It has to do with the WNBA. The referees often treat younger players unfairly. They seem to need to establish their worth before being treated with any dignity. How does this relate to Clark's terrible playoff experience then? Imagine attempting to perform at your peak level while continuously concerned that you will be called upon for every little thing. You say it plays with your mind. On the court, you are unable to express yourself or play freely. It like attempting to dance when your shoelaces are knotted.
Good little taste of, what's possible for this organization and for this franchise, and there's a lot for us to, hold our heads high about.
Semifinals matchup, and guys,
Done and dusted.
done and done. I mean,
This is when the intriguing part comes in. Is there really so much drama surrounding refs? Clark might be growing stronger as a result of it. Yes, you did indeed hear that. Consider this, every great player has experienced difficult decisions and harsh treatment. That's how the game works. Take a look at some of the other sports legends. This type of experience was had by all of them early in their careers. Furthermore, what do you know? Even great players emerged from the other side. They discovered how to play shrewdly, maintain composure, and let their game speak for itself. Not just Clark, it seems, is picking up new skills. A change that might completely upend the WNBA is about to occur for the whole Fever team, and the number 19 is where it all begins. Why is the number 19 so unique? This is when Clark truly reveals his superpower, so stay tuned. We've seen Clark and the Fever suffer some serious setbacks, but sometimes you have to fall before you can soar. Nobody knows this better than Coach Christy Sides. She's been keeping a close eye on her team and has some strong ideas about what has to change. Sides isn't trying to mince words. She is rather straightforward in her assessment that the team must improve in terms of playoff intensity.
We're all competitors in that locker room, and so it doesn't feel good. It just doesn't feel good to leave here, and the resiliency that these guys showed all year. But god dang, give Connecticut credit, right?
They act as though they had been playing checkers the entire season, and then they are engaged in a chess game. However, what's the deal? It was precisely what they required to hear. Let's now discuss the enchanted number. 19, that is the total number of assists Clark contributed in one game. 19, that's absurd, not to mention excellent. She appears to have eyeballs in the back of her skull, or something similar. Clark is demonstrating that she can improve everyone around her, so it's not just about scoring anymore. Folks, that's leadership. This is where things get really crazy though. The Fever didn't enter the playoffs by accident. They struggled to get there. Recall how the 2nd through 9th seasons began. Most teams would have folded at that point. Not the Fever though. They made so quick changes that your head would spin. Nor is Clark bashful about it. When she talks about the team, there's fire in her eyes. We can win, she declares. I am completely confident in this squad. That's a leader who has faith in her team. That's not just words. Furthermore, what do you know? Her belief is valid. This postseason campaign, this is only chapter 1. It's going to be a page turner. This new story that the Fever are composing, their youthful exuberance and insatiable curiosity will make them formidable. Yes, they are presently facing some setbacks, but all great teams have experienced it. As Clark puts it, there will be good ones. There will be negative ones. That encompasses not only games, but also seasons, careers, and everything else. With each game, the Fever are improving, maturing, and becoming more resilient. In other words, they were eliminated during the playoffs. However, beware, for they are going to return with a bang. Leading the charge, Clark has a full crew prepared to fight with her. The Fever are on the rise and bringing the heat, so the rest of the WNBA had best be on the lookout.